What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Geekiverse's brand new show. It's been a long time since we've introduced a new show. Super excited for it for a number of reasons. But welcome to PlusCast. So the Geekiverse's new Disney Plus-based podcast / web show. We're filming live and streaming live at Dave & Adams today, just off of Transit Road in Clarence. There's still a few hours left. We've had a wonderful day so far. We all just had Lloyd for lunch, so
it's a good day.
We might be in a little bit of a food coma, but we'll get through this. Regardless, Halloween comic book day. Come get some free comics for the kids. Bring the kids dressed up. Dress up yourself. Also, if you like anything sports related at all, there's an incredible warehouse of merchandise here. So come pick some up. Also, the Geekiverse has shirts. We've got a show special, 1 for 10 or 2 for 15. Lastly, join us in our Facebook live chat. We'd love to hear your comments. First of all, I'm Josiah LeRoy. With me today from Geek Scott Game, John Fick.
Thanks for having me.
And also formerly of Girls Who Geek. Shamefully. Amanda Woomer Limpert. Amanda, it's been so long since we podcasted.
It's been a hot minute. Let's see if I know how to do this.
I think you're off to a good start.
Thanks.
I'm really excited to podcast with Amanda. We've been friends since we were little kids, so this is a little bit nostalgic in a way. Not that we podcasted, but we always talked about stuff like this anyway.
Debated.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me started on debates. So, PlusCast. Let's start here. Disney Plus. First feelings on it are gauge your level of excitement here. What's going on? What thoughts are going through your head? I'll start with John.
I can't wait, man. I'm thinking about taking off work to just binge some Disney Plus when it comes out.
Let's hope it's not like Last of Us.
If it gets
I
delayed,
don't think that'll be a problem.
No, I don't think so. I think that we can expect this to hit November 12th when they promise. Yeah, man. I mean, this. First of all, the price point's the biggest thing. $7.99 a month, or is that is it $6.99 or $7.99 a month?
$6.99.
Yeah, $7 a month. I mean, that's just silly. They're undercutting their biggest competition, Netflix. They've got a spot on my TV for sure. I can't wait. The content's there. The price is there. It's what else you want?
Amanda, what are your thoughts on this?
Interestingly enough, I wasn't as thrilled about it when I first heard about it as people expected because I am a Disney fanatic. I don't know if it's necessarily necessary because you could watch a majority of the Disney library on Hulu and Netflix and all of that. However, with things like the original content and Disney Channel original movies coming back and some things that may have been trapped inside the infamous Disney vaults now being released, I am getting more excited the closer we're getting to November.
They're opening the vault for sure for a lot of things here.
And to touch on one of those things, I think what's most exciting for me is that all the stuff is finally in one spot. I don't have to hop between Hulu and Netflix and everything like that. There's going to be a little of that until all the contracts kind of fizzle out. We'll talk more about that later. But having everything Disney in one spot's pretty huge for me.
So, again, if you're just joining us on the live stream, we are streaming from Dave & Adams in Western New York. We'd love to see you in the chat or in person. Come say hello. So, what is PlusCast? Essentially, we're going to be covering everything Disney Plus. There's a lot of content, and a lot of original content that's going to be coming over the weeks, months, and years that we know about now. I can only imagine, over time how this actually takes off. But we're going to be doing recommendations, previews, anything news, and occasional partial reviews. So this is going to be in podcast form as well as video form. You'll see this right on our YouTube on a monthly basis. So what is Disney Plus? Odds are you know what it is, but in short, it's Disney's brand new streaming service that aims to compete with Netflix and Hulu. Hulu, by the way, now owned by Disney.
Completely.
Also.
100%.
So it will feature past and exclusive new content from Pixar, Star Wars, Marvel, and, of course, Disney Studios.
National Geographic as well.
National Geographic as well. So it arrives November 12th in North America and November 19th in Australia and New Zealand specifically. We talked about the cost. So, John, if you want to take this bullet point, in terms of cost, $7 a month.
Yeah, I mean,
stacks up fairly well.
So everyone, when they were rumoring Disney Plus, and we heard that it's going to be like the entire vault plus original content, obviously your Star Wars, your Marvel, and all your classic Disney stuff. I remember listening to other podcasts, pop culture podcasts, and hearing people say, "I wouldn't be surprised if this was $20 a month." That we were really kind of getting our heads we were getting our expectations set for okay, how far can a big company push pricing on a streaming service, and we were all kind of ready for it. At least that's where I was at. That's where a lot of people on Twitter were at. $7 a month is insane.
I was guessing it would be no less than 15.
15, and
Yeah, because that's kind of other streaming services. They
Yeah.
start at kind of like a lower rate, but
yes,
let's be honest, you're paying the $12, $13 a month versus $5 or $6.
exactly. So
In premium kind of packaging here.
for sure. I mean, it's not ad supported. It's $7 a month. It's not the lower version. You still get the how many screens can you have? You can have how many? 4 screens at a time.
Simultaneously 4.
And that's 4K as well. I mean, so on my Netflix account, I have a 4K TV, so I have to pay $15 a month to be able to watch 4K. And I mean, half the population is paying what, $8, $9 a month for the regular version.
Yeah.
I have to have an upcharge just to get the better quality. Disney Plus isn't doing that. So I think that's their. I think that was their biggest bullet point when they were coming at this, was to undercut the competition, which is clearly Netflix.
Come back.
So I'm excited about it.
I think
that price is crazy.
Let me ask you this. Obviously, everything's streaming nowadays. There's so many streaming services, not just like Netflix and Hulu, but even like specific channels are doing this now in
CBS
studios.
All Access.
Yeah.
ESPN has their ESPN Now or whatever.
Does this eliminate any streaming from your life, or like what's the thought here on budgeting? It's cheap,
For
so
me,
you don't have to worry about it too
I
much.
don't think so. I assume I'm not the only person at this table who shares subscriptions with people.
What?
We
what are
all
you talking
we
about?
password share, and I think that they're kind of like totally cool with that, with how many screens you're allowed to have on this
Straight up,
thing.
we're sharing Disney Plus between my household and my parents' household.
Exactly. So like
They let you. 4 simultaneous streams.
exactly. So I mean, I pay for Netflix. My fiance's sister pays for Hulu and HBO. So we all have like our own things. I only really pay for one subscription anyway. So Disney Plus, definitely adding it on, not cutting anything else out. Not now at least.
Yeah, and like we don't have cable or satellite at my house. We have Netflix, we have Hulu, and that's what we watch. So it's kind of like, well, we're not paying $90 a month for, TV, so this is also kind of within the budget. And like if you are a Disney person, you've had multiple chances to get a cheaper price. If you're a member of D23, the fan club, and I don't know if it was just if you were a fan or part of the fan club or if you were at D23 Expo this year, but you could have signed up and you were given the chance to be a founding member.
I did that, and
yeah.
I was
Did
not.
you? So you were not at D23.
It was one of those kind of like life hack articles, and long story short, if you paid for 3 years, there was a significant discount.
It was 1 year free. It was 33% off. You got 1 year
Yeah.
free. So you basically
and again, I split it with my
less
sister.
than $4 a month is what
Yeah.
you're.
and
I know I'm going to have it, especially with nothing else other than the Star Wars and Marvel content. Because
Yeah.
let's face it, that's
Yeah.
what I like.
So Sam, I didn't see this bullet point, but this is a pretty big story. If you have Verizon Wireless and you have an unlimited data plan, you have a year free.
Yep.
Verizon customers, if you either have an unlimited data plan currently or you are switching to Verizon Fios Home within like the short window, you get a year of Disney Plus free. That's nuts.
Yeah, they're hooking people early
So
here.
I don't even have to pay for it for a year. Back to that pricing. I have Verizon. I'm not going to pay for it for a year. I've read definitive, like, people have asked on the forums and the subreddits, does that free year if you have Verizon stack with your deal? It does. So if you have Verizon, you have 4 years for the price of 2.
I love it. I didn't know that it stacked.
It does stack. It does.
Wow. Okay, good to know.
Yep. Crazy.
I just heard about that this past week with Verizon, and I thought that was amazing because a lot of people either have the phone service, unlimited, or they have the Fios if it's available in your area.
It's a huge partnership. I mean, I can't think of another streaming service that has done something like that,
No.
and especially at launch. Like
Such
this is a brand new
attractive content
product.
too.
Yes.
For a number of reasons, there's something for everybody. I feel like, and I'm kind of the same as Amanda. Like, since Lauren and I have been married, we have not had cable, anything like that. We've never found a reason to.
No.
But last year I need to write an article on this because I've led so many people to it, and I need to start making commission on it. But Fubo,
Yeah.
Fubo, that's a subscription service, and it's kind of like cable DVR, and they have MSG. So for me, I like Buffalo Sabres games.
I was just going to ask, how do you watch Sabres games? If you
That's how I do it.
Fubo?
But
Okay.
a tale for another time. So how to watch it? Really no shortage of options. Eventually, it's going to come to just about everything. But off the bat, confirmed devices are Roku boxes, sticks, and TVs. Apple products, so your iPhone, your iPad, your Apple TV. Your phones and TVs running on Android as well as Chromecast. the Xbox One and PS4. I love that right out of the gate.
Yeah,
'cause,
that's cool.
Yeah.
You know, just one more option for accessibility. And as I mentioned, plans to roll out to all major streaming devices.
Yeah, so is it not on the Amazon Fire stuff at launch? I don't think it is.
I don't know if this was a leak or a fabricated picture. There is an image of one, or of a Fire Stick running this
Okay.
in like a promo package, but it has not been confirmed yet. But, I mean, it's got to be a matter of time if it's not.
Well,
sure.
and I think this is so smart that they're playing nice with so many different services and different ways to watch, because I do think going in, they know they're competing with, well, I mean, Hulu, they own it now, so they're not competing with that. But Netflix is probably the biggest streaming service out there, and so they're majorly competing with this and removing all of their content eventually from
Yeah.
Netflix. So if you want people to buy into what you're selling, and convince them that not only do they need this, but it'll work nicely with everything you already have. It's very smart on their part. They are in the business of making money, and they're very good at it.
They are.
I've always said Disney sells a feeling, and they do it well.
They do it great.
So the other thing to mention, we're talking about pricing and bundles here. So Netflix now starts at $8.99 a month. Still a great value. As time goes on, we'll see what that looks like. But as long as they are pumping out IPs such as Stranger Things, for example, things of that nature, Netflix isn't going anywhere. Apple TV Plus, which I feel like is a little bit relative light on content, but I don't know enough about it, is $5 a month.
See, I think Apple TV Plus is a very different approach to this. From what I know about Apple TV Plus, they are not offering a back catalog of things that already exist. They are pitching this as this is just original content. Apple TV Plus, they've gotten people like Steven Spielberg, they've got like big ticket actors like Jennifer Aniston, Steve Carell. They're really trying to pump like the most quality they possibly can into a streaming service. Every trailer, Jason Momoa's in that one called C. So they're getting like Hollywood A-list actors. They're getting incredible directors, and they are just producing original content. They're not aiming to be your cable replacement. They're aiming to be like an awesome avenue of good content.
The other thing I wanted to mention that just real quick when we're talking about competitors, Hulu's not kind of a competitor anymore because Disney owns them. You can get Disney Plus, Hulu Plus, and ESPN Plus, $13 a month bundled.
Oh wow, I didn't know that Hulu was.
That's what my husband and I have been waiting for, because
That's cool.
he's the sports guy. So he's like, well, if we get ESPN and we already have Hulu, and then you get Disney Plus. So we've been sitting on actually purchasing it, even though we've had Disney Visa cardholder offers and the D23 offer. We haven't done it. We're hoping for something good to come along.
The only thing that is a little bit of a bummer about that is that you can't get the ad-free version of Hulu if you do that. You have to get the ad version. There's no way to like subsidize it and like pay a little bit more to get. So that's a little bit of a bummer, but still a great deal.
I hear you there.
Some ads.
And this is kind of interesting as we move a little bit towards the content side of Disney Plus here. Again, if you're just tuning in, thank you so much. This is PlusCast, Geekiverse's brand new Disney Plus themed show. Content release style for Disney Plus. I am actually a big fan of this. I think I'm in the minority based on people I've talked to. But episodic seasons. So let's say they release a season of a TV show. They are going to be releasing them episode by episode. So
Weekly.
sometimes weekly. It'll be different for different series, but for the most part, weekly. As opposed to something like Netflix or Hulu, where they release pretty much, if it's their own content, all at once.
Yep.
So you can binge watch it, which you did for Stranger Things,
Oh,
of course.
I solidly did that for Stranger Things, yeah.
So you got up quite early, by the way.
4 a.m.
Yes.
Gotta do
why
it
not?
before the barbecue.
There's no better time. So in this case, for example, the first original bit of content is The Mandalorian,
Yes.
right, for Star Wars here. That's going to be weekly. For me, this works wonderfully. I feel like when I have to binge a TV show, I say have to, it's almost to an extent like I have homework. Or like when I get behind and my friends are talking about it or people in Geekiverse are talking about it, I can't keep up, and then I'm like, oh, what's the point?
Yeah,
and
and
it's a problem with me. But guess what? I've also got a little one at home and a 9 to 5, so it all kind of factors in. Not to mention we have the video game side of things here at the Geekiverse that we try to keep afloat. So
For sure. I think even like avoiding spoilers can be a problem too. Like
it can be.
So I'm not torn, but I don't care.
It's a big deal to some people.
To some people, for sure.
it is
For
the
me,
internet.
however you decide to kind of get your content out there, I'm on board. I almost feel like some of these shows are like made with the the distribution in mind. Like there are certain Netflix shows that I can tell are made because they know that they're all going to be coming out at once, where they may not have made some certain decisions if they were coming out weekly, because that episode 3 may have been horrible if it was the only one you got all week, but if you can watch another one right after, it's more serviceable. So I think like the medium is actually important in terms of how this stuff is made. So if it's made with weekly or monthly in mind, then that's the way it's going to be, because that's the way they want to make it.
Interesting.
And like my only concern is I always compare, for me, Stranger Things versus Game of Thrones. 2 great shows, give or take the last season. Game of Thrones really suffered in season 6 with leaks. Episodes would come out days, if not a week early. And that was a huge problem. Whereas Netflix, they don't have to worry about that. They don't have to worry about anything leaking, anything getting spoiled, because they release everything at the same time. If you're going to binge it, you're going to see it all. If you're not, that's your own prerogative. That's your choice. But they don't have the risk of someone leaking.
That's fair.
And I do think a show such as The Mandalorian, anything connected to Star Wars, and honestly, even the Marvel shows, there is that very high risk that things could get leaked. So that's just a gamble with coming out weekly or bi-weekly versus all at once.
Wonder if they even factor that in their strategy. Like, I wonder if that's a thought.
I think it is. I think with any
It
kind of
should
big
be.
content, they have to worry about that. Even when you're like making a movie, how secretive they get about casting and like where they're filming and stuff like that. I think Disney's very leak conscious, but definitely a valid concern. Especially if that stuff's already filmed and in the pipeline. I think that's more likely to leak than something like a film, like plot-wise at least.
Like Star Wars in particular has done a really... Oh, very nice. There's Pete, the Grumpy Geek, walking by. He just bought a comic book from Stephanie Phillips.
Nice.
You can come get one yourself. So, in terms of the strategy here, I feel, or with Star Wars specifically, I feel like they've done a good job in not leaking stuff. Like, they've kept a tight lid on stuff, and that's probably one of the most sought-after properties to find a leak for. And for the most part, I think they've done good with Marvel too. But I think more than anything, the strategy here is if they... This service is just starting. So, in releasing The Mandalorian, if they do it all up front and people binge it day 1 or day 2, what are you doing for the next few months while you wait for the next series to come out? This way, it's a controlled way of keeping people coming back.
Yeah,
and guess what?
that
Now
is very
people
smart.
care about The Mandalorian. You have to do at least 2 months of Disney Plus.
For sure. There is something to be said about those tentpole moments. It's nice to own every Sunday or whatever day it's going to come out. You know, like Game of Thrones, when that final season was on, any of the last 5 seasons of Game of Thrones, they owned every Sunday. So that's, you know, whereas Stranger Things, they owned what, maybe a week? Where
A
that
day.
was like a day for most people. But like social media buzz was, I would
Before
say
breakfast for Amanda.
exactly. A solid week, Stranger Things owned social media, whereas Game of Thrones got to do that every Sunday for 6 Sundays or 10 Sundays, depending on what season we're talking about.
Long story short, I'm a fan of it. Amanda, from a viewer's perspective, does it deter you, or is it a turn off at all that they're doing episodic weekly releases as opposed to the binge?
No, it doesn't turn me off at all. I enjoy being able to binge, but there is something about knowing, you know, oh, it's Sunday, it's on, you know, you can get together with your friends. Like, that's what we did when Game of Thrones was on. We would have viewing parties every week, and it was a nice excuse to get together with friends.
It's an event, you know?
It is. So, I kind of, you know, similar to John, I'm not mad either way. I'll take it either way because I'm so looking forward to it.
Yeah.
That if you're going to sit and binge the whole thing, great. And if I have to wait a couple months to see what happens, the anticipation is killing me.
The other nice thing is, too, it kind of gives you the choice, minus the whole spoilers thing. Whereas if you don't watch it as it comes out, you can binge a few at a time. So because they'll have the backlog episodes as it goes.
I'm doing that right now with American Horror Story. I watched the first one, and I'm like, oh, I like this. I'm just going to let a few go. And I think I've only watched the first episode, and I think it's on maybe 5, so I've got 3
I think
sitting
we're on
there.
6 now.
So
Yeah,
I've got
we're
4
halfway.
sitting there for me. It's fun. Hasn't been spoiled for me yet, but it's not Star
There's
Wars.
nothing really to spoil. But
Fair enough.
Anyway.
So real quick plug here. We've had our merch here today, which you can choose from over 20 designs. We've got John with his God of War-inspired PlayStation 4 shirt.
Boy.
Thank you. And Amanda's got her Straight Out of Arkham shirts. Who doesn't love that?
It's very popular.
We've seen Harley Quinn running around here. I've got our brand new shirt on as well. I don't know if you can see that on the stream.
Boom.
Thank you, Amanda. That will be available in the store shortly. Keep Comic Geek on, of course. But show special, 1 for 10 or 2 for 15. However, if you are not able to come in today, we have All of these designs available at thegeekiverse.storenvy.com. As I mentioned, over 20 designs. We'd appreciate it. It goes a long way for us, and no better way to show off your love of Marvel, Star Wars, The Office, Harry Potter, all of it. It's right here for you. So, moving on. What are we moving at? Specs?
Features and specs, yeah.
Okay.
So that's one that really gets me excited. I love the highest quality I can possibly
This
get.
is why I included this section.
I appreciate
This is
that.
for you.
I
Okay.
really,
I knew it wasn't for me.
It's for me,
Half
man.
of this, I'm like, what is that?
There are shows in my backlog that I really should be watching, but I'm passing on because they're on HBO now and they're not in 4K.
I don't blame you.
That's really me, man. I'm supposed to be like catching up on Silicon Valley because me and my buddy used to love it, but I am all about the highest fidelity. 4K,
Hi, Adam.
specifically HDR and Dolby Vision are very important to me. I have like a very nice television. I want to watch things the best possible way. So the fact that day one we're gonna have 4K Ultra HD, we're gonna have HDR10, Dolby Atmos, and I believe Dolby Vision as well, huge for me.
So
Probably just for me.
how about this is going to sound funny, for maybe more layman's terms, for
Me.
Yeah.
no, honestly, a little bit for me as well. Like Dolby Atmos, a little bit of experience
Dolby
with.
Atmos doesn't affect me personally. I don't have an Atmos sound system. Dolby Atmos is basically just digital surround sound. So like they aim to be able to get sound like 360 sound. They bounce it off the ceiling. They get it around the room. They do a really good job with it. I've got a buddy who has a nice Dolby Atmos system. It's incredible. I'm not a sound guy. I'm a visual guy. So like fidelity for me really matters when it comes to 4K Ultra HD. That's kind of straightforward. That's just higher resolution. That's just going from 1080p, 720p up to 4K, just more crisp, more detail. HDR and Dolby Vision are more important for me. That's color. So HDR10 HDR is high dynamic range, very similar to what you see in photography. It's just contrast. So dark blacks, very, very bright colors. HDR10 versus Dolby Vision is just a different spectrum. So basically, Dolby Vision just does a better job than HDR10. HDR10 is beautiful as well, but Dolby Vision is just a broader range. It can get from the most extreme to the most extreme, just a higher range than HDR10. So just better colors for the most part. You really notice it if you've had it before.
See, this is part of the reason that I have John around again, is that it gets me excited for stuff. Whether it's like that next game, that next Star Wars, the technology we're talking about. I always appreciate his passion towards it.
For sure.
And expertise. So, additionally, we mentioned, in terms of streaming past the 4K Ultra AD, you can have up to 4 simultaneous streams. And I put a bunch of exclamation points after it because I think that's kind of crazy.
That's huge.
I did not expect that. I expected 2 tops.
Yeah, 4's a lot, especially at that price, especially not having a higher tier version where you have to pay more to get more screens. That's huge.
There's no way this price stays this way. How long do we think this price stays where it is?
I'd give it maybe 2 years.
I think 2 years is right.
Exactly what I was
It
going to
gets
say.
you hooked in. You're obsessed with season 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian, and you have to see what happens in season 3.
Yes.
Oh, but it went up to $12 a month.
I think knowing Disney, though, they will, in a roundabout way, try to give justification. Like they're going to add something. They're gonna make the service better in some kind of way in terms to to try to justify the price hike. But we'll see.
Yeah.
The other thing is, so you can have 7 profiles, so basically that's not as big of a necessity to me. But titles can be downloaded to a device for offline streaming.
Yes.
The only limitation is the storage amount of the device you're downloading to.
Now, there was a story that I read very briefly that if a piece of content leaves Disney Plus and you have it downloaded, they're not going to do any kind of trickery to try to get it from you. You can still use it as long as you download it.
I love it.
Yeah.
And you can download on up to 10 mobile devices. So in our kind of outline here, we've got everything available on day one. If I'm not expecting you guys to take a look at this link, but we'll look at it later. I tried to kind of sum up and even just give maybe like 3-4 examples of each, whether it was their live action or their Disney Channel movies. There's so much content coming.
I think it's over 600 things on just day one.
It's crazy.
There is a clip video that someone pieced together, very, very brief clips of everything, and it takes 3 hours to watch.
That's nuts.
So, I mean, you're getting a lot of value with Disney Plus right out of the box, let alone what's coming down the line. So, day one, what can we watch? Not all of The Mandalorian, like we mentioned. They're going to roll that out. For old content, so stuff that already exists, let's start with Star Wars. Every live-action movie except for Last Jedi and Solo. That's just due to licensing and distribution with Netflix,
Yes.
I believe.
Now I'm going to jump in there. There is also those are going to be leaving Netflix eventually. Same with a couple of Marvel movies. But in a few years, they do have to leave Disney Plus and go back to Netflix. There is a weird stipulation in there.
2026 or something,
Yeah,
right?
something like that. Yeah, so that is sort of an issue with a company like Disney who has made so many deals to get their stuff out there. Now that they're trying to do their own distribution with Disney Plus, a lot of those deals are out there in the future like that. So things like I think Solo episode 8, and then the Marvel movies that are currently on Netflix. I think like Thor Ragnarok, Infinity War, Black Panther. That stuff will come off of Netflix onto Disney Plus, but then vice versa in a couple of years. So something to look out for.
Sorry, Seth and Nate of the Memory Machine were just yelling obscenities as they walked by.
We got a bomb.
Oh, there he is. Hi, Seth. No. Bye. All right, so
Later, guys.
there's like you said, there's a lot of weird distribution agreements
It's
out
the
there right
fine
now.
print
Exactly.
that's out
Yeah.
there.
So a few things like that we'll have to deal with in the future. Hopefully in 2026 you don't want to watch Thor Ragnarok that badly.
But
I will.
content coming out. So, for example, Rise of Skywalker is just going to be here.
Yes.
Like, they don't have to worry about it going anywhere else at
Now,
this point.
this I don't know. This is a question that you guys might not know either. Is there going to be a window before it's there? Are they going to do like a only available to purchase for a little while, then it's on our service? I thought I heard that there is.
I would assume
Yes.
that there would be.
Got it.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, there is. I don't know how long that window is, but what movie? I don't know if it was. It might have been Rise of Skywalker. Like they said, next summer.
Got it.
The Blu-rays, if the movie comes out in December for Star Wars, they come out in April, like
So
first
the-
week of April. So there's like a 2-3 month window.
I wonder if you're going to be able to purchase them through Disney Plus, like you can through like Amazon or Apple TV.
If they're smart, I
That'd be
think
great.
they would, because a lot of people aren't buying DVD and Blu-ray anymore.
No,
They're
I buy
doing the digital
all
downloads.
digital, yeah, I'm all digital.
Yeah, so if there's an option instead of just watching it,
Yeah.
or do you want to download it, like
For sure.
like you said, Amazon Prime.
Yep.
Like you can buy the movie if you want for
Yeah.
$3.99.
Like a quick disclaimer, like, hey, this is going to be available with your Disney Plus subscription in 3 months or so. Give us a date, but you can buy it right now for $19.99 if you want to watch it and own it.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
I wonder. That's speculation. That's probably not happening. We're just that's kind of like a pipe dream.
All of day one, all of the Clone Wars, Star Wars Rebels, and Resistance, just the one season so far, will be on the streaming service. In terms of Marvel, just 7 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, but including Captain Marvel, most notably, will be on the service. The rest are delayed due, again, to these streaming and distribution rights with Netflix. Lots of content on the way. Obviously, we're harping a little bit on Star Wars and Marvel because, for the most part, it's what I know.
Yeah.
Star Wars content on the way. We know Mandalorian Day 1, weekly releases. It's going to take place 5 years after Return of the Jedi. So I'm happy as we wind down on the Skywalker saga, we're going to start filling in the blanks between episodes 6 and 7 here.
Did I see that the first 2 episodes will be available at launch, or did I dream that?
What's that?
I thought I saw that the first 2 episodes of the Mandalorian are going to be available at launch. I may have dreamt that.
I don't know that, actually.
Well, look it up.
But, so, The Mandalorian, I love the cast that they've got for this. Do you guys think the production value is kind of insane?
It looks nuts.
It looks like a movie.
It looks like a movie.
It's
Man.
insane. Watching the trailer, I'm more hyped about that than probably any movie trailer I saw this year, because it was just so well done.
I'm big Pedro Pascal guy. I like everything I've seen from it so far. The premise is exciting. As a Star Wars fan, obviously, I love it. Fun story too. Like, did you guys see like some of the extras they used for stormtroopers? Perchance.
I haven't seen much about that, no.
No.
So they were. I don't know why or what happened or if the schedule got changed around, but they needed stormtroopers and they needed them fast. So they needed people with stormtrooper outfits. So they got the 501st Legion to come in and actually,
That's fantastic.
yeah, act in at least one sequence in one of the episodes.
That's
cool.
cool.
So I know. 501st Legion, if you don't know, one of the biggest Star Wars fan clubs in the world. And they got to be in Star Wars.
Cool. I want to throw a quick disclaimer. I was wrong about that. The first 2 episodes are not available at launch.
Okay.
November 12th is the first episode. November 15th is the second. That must
So that's
have been
good.
a
So you're
dream.
getting them within 3 days, though.
So it's not a weekly
Right.
thing.
Looks
Oh,
like
yeah.
it looks like it's weekly after the
Oh,
Got
first.
it. Yeah. So 12th, 15th, and everything else is weekly. So weird. Why? I don't know why they're doing that quickly, but
That's
So-
just wacky.
Jon Favreau is at the helm of everything that's going on here. Additionally, already working on season 2.
awesome.
So we know that's coming as well.
It's nice to have a service like this where they don't have to worry about green lighting things. They just do it because they own everything.
Yeah.
It's great.
And Lord knows they have the money for it.
Oh,
so.
God, yeah. This thing could flop and they can make 12 seasons.
Yeah.
I like Jon Favreau a lot. I'm happy he's here. I'm happy also Taika Waititi's getting his hands in this a little bit.
For sure.
He's going to be all over it. So also we're getting a Rogue One prequel series. I think this is going to be very popular. We don't have a total ETA on this, but Cassian Andor and K2SO. We don't know a number of episodes. We don't know much other than Diego Luna will be reprising his role as Cassian and Alan Tudyk as K2SO. I think this came up before. Like, I love K2.
I was trying not to
yes?
talk. I don't like
knew
K2.
you were talking
Do
about
you not like him? He's my favorite droid.
Me too.
Oh, God.
I don't want to get into it today.
Listen, I
just
need
don't-
I
just
need
didn't hit
these
me.
little Star Wars agreements because it doesn't happen
Ugh.
often with me. So for a man
Hey,
to say that,
I agree with you on a big one.
Oh,
A
yeah,
very
yeah,
big one.
Yeah, you know what? I stand corrected. That's the topic for another time.
We'll tease that. We have a very, very big
Yeah,
common opinion on Star Wars that
we've
you'll
got
see
some-
eventually.
Some Star Wars coverage coming up. It may shock you.
Yes.
Uh,
But yeah, K2, I don't know why. It just didn't do it for me. I didn't hate it. It didn't click the way that it did for everybody else, which is cool. It's fine. Not a big deal. It didn't make
Sure.
me hate Rogue One.
do you know who I don't like in terms of droids?
Who's that?
L3 from Solo.
Okay.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, that's so forgettable that I can't even remember who
Okay,
L3
good.
is.
See, take it, Del Reed
Got
and
it.
Jeremy White.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Solo a lot. I'm on Jeremy White's side.
I like Solo. I even said I loved it.
We can't go
but
down this
this
rabbit hole.
is-
Move on.
Moving on.
Please.
Moving
Anyway.
on.
All right. I have some news that you'll all love. Okay. This will get us all on the same page.
I'm so
If
excited.
it doesn't,
I'm so
I quit.
excited.
We're getting the ObiWan Kenobi
Finally.
series. So Ewan McGregor, probably one of the most fun moments of, was it D23?
It was D23.
Okay.
right?
Him coming out on stage to Kathleen Kennedy, and he says, Kathleen, please ask me if I'm going to play Obi-Wan Kenobi again. And he says he is. I have goosebumps right now even talking about it.
This
That's
is something
incredible.
that I remember probably like 2 or 3 years ago now for the Geekiverse. I wrote maybe there's a Kenobi sequel. They keep saying yes. They keep saying no. What is it going to be? And we find out that
This is. And they,
Ewan McGregor knew about it for the last 4 years.
well, didn't they originally pitch this as a movie like Solo? Wasn't that supposed to be like
That's
one
what
of
it was
the
always
the
like,
Star Wars story?
Yes,
I mean, this-
an anthology of
Exactly.
sorts.
We used to do a news show every week called The Week in Geek, and there was a leak that this was happening. There was a Kenobi standalone
It's
movie.
confirmed.
Yes,
And I
like
think-
high up sources, well-known pop culture sources were saying this is happening. Solo came out, box office, a little bit of a bomb, and this is where we were at.
Yeah.
It just went dark. So here we are. We're finally getting what everyone has kind of been long clamoring for. We don't know really, again, much about it, but there's so much I want to see from a day-to-day in Kenobi, and I hope a good chunk of it takes place on Tatooine. Even
I
in
feel
his
like
daily
most
life,
of it will.
You
Just
think so? It'll be that period. It'll be.
I do.
Do we know that it's going to be?
I
post
feel like I just
prequels?
read something yesterday that like it is taking place after.
I'm
Oh.
99% sure.
I could
That
have
would make
I could
sense.
have
Why would they
fabricated
go back to
that
that,
in
yeah.
my mind, but I
No.
think
it has
that's
to
what
be.
it is.
99% sure it's taking place between
Between
3 and
4.
And I would love to see him kind of almost his day-to-day stuff and what he's got to maybe some
Deal with.
almost skirmishes, some on the run.
It's more of like the Ben Kenobi story versus
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Obi-Wan
Interesting.
Kenobi story.
His time in even like I'd love to see him go to the cantina for the first
Oh
time.
yeah,
Stuff
that's
like
gonna
that,
happen.
right?
We're gonna
Yeah.
get a
Like-
lot of Cantina stuff. I bet.
So
I
picture,
hope so.
picture our production value for Mandalorian and
Yeah.
imagine what we get
on
for our
Tatooine,
Kenobi series.
baby.
Much sooner than either Rogue One's prequel series or Kenobi, we're getting the Clone Wars. We're finally getting the true
The
final
ending
season. Which is funny because Disney actually pulled the plug on this.
originally.
And now they're like, hey, you asked for it, so we're bringing it back. Hard to complain about it,
I need to
though.
watch the Clone Wars. I haven't. So
They're so good.
I had not until about 2 years ago. Believe it or not. Yeah. I watched like episodes here and there, but I finally like made myself commit to it and go through it, and it's a wonderful bit of Star Wars lore, no
how
doubt
many
about
seasons
it.
are there?
There's
I think there's
5,
5, and then the
technically.
6th one was like
They call
half
it the
a
lost
season.
episodes.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
not really.
All right,
yeah.
cool.
I don't know if they
5
like
for sure.
actually like count it as Star Wars canon. I think they do. So like this.
I think once Disney got everything, they are considered canon.
Okay. Because like it comes with the box set, for example. So I would
Yeah.
imagine it
Yeah.
includes
For sure.
If
that.
you go to Star Wars weekends when they happened at Disney, you would see Ahsoka and
Oh yes,
other
yes.
characters walking
So
around.
the Clone Wars is definitely absolutely canon. I'm more questioning that
The
like
lost-
sixth
the lost
season. It was like
episodes.
20
Oh.
episodes.
Got it.
So like, what's funny is we don't know if this upcoming season is season 7 or season 6.
Maybe
I've
it's
seen it
6 and a
referenced
half.
As 6, but it's gonna kind of wrap up as intended with Dave Filoni back at the helm, who's kind of been the father of anything Star Wars animated over the last decade here between Clone Wars, Rebels, and now Resistance.
Yeah, so that's huge for me. I've never seen it. Got a great opportunity here with Disney Plus to dive in and finally watch it.
Yeah,
You
and
can
like
binge watch it.
I'm going
you can binge watch this. People sometimes complain about the animation style of Clone Wars, and I
It's
understand
weird.
it.
You have to get used to it.
Like I preferred Rebels if we're
See, I
doing that.
preferred Clone Wars over Rebels. Rebels took me a while to get into because the animation was so
Interesting.
weird.
They're all very unique, no doubt about it. Even Resistance to a point, which I have not watched.
Me
I
either.
haven't either.
Is that going to be on?
It's not accessible.
It
like
should
it's not
be.
on
It's
any
on-
streaming
yeah,
service.
it's not even on Hulu. You have to like buy it on Hulu. I'm pretty sure.
I think, and what's also weird is when it came out in August, like season 1, you can only get it on DVD, not Blu-ray.
I didn't know they still made DVDs.
I didn't either.
How
Let alone-
2006 of them.
Seriously.
They're also, like we mentioned on Geeks Got Game, making Just Dance for
The
the
Wii.
Nintendo Wii.
right.
Still, interesting times we live in.
Okay.
So we'll circle back around towards the end here. Jumping on to Marvel content on the way.
Yeah.
Lots to like, and all of this will be intertwined with the MCU, which I have no problem with. I know some people do have some qualms about this, but
That's silly. This is. I mean, this is the same people, the same teams. This is the MCU. It's amazing.
Off.
Very excited for it.
Gotcha. First up, we know Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I think that may be a lot of people's most anticipated series for Marvel, coming in fall of 2020. I am very excited to get kind of the bro dynamic there for what we're going to get.
Saying that's got to be a buddy cop or buddy cop television show.
Some
gonna
of
be
my
very cool.
favorite moments from Civil War are between those two.
Yes.
One that everybody, I think, would have thought was an absolute pipe dream, Loki. We're getting the Loki series. There was rumors that when this news first broke that it might have been animated, that Tom Hiddleston was just going to be voicing this character, and then they came out and said it's going to be live action. So taking place right directly from the events that we see in Endgame when Loki transports away. Loki from the past transports away, I should say. We're getting WandaVision in spring of 2021. We're getting a Hawkeye in fall of 2021. Also, kind of to be determined on the time frame, but we're getting past that a She-Hulk series, Miss Marvel, and a Moon Knight. Moon Knight, a lot of people are excited for. I'm actually really excited for a Miss Marvel series. I don't know a ton about the character, but in terms of overall popularity and pop culture, like this is a character on the rise. It's also going to be the one of the protagonists in
The Avengers game.
the Avengers game next year. So, lots to like from Marvel there.
I think I'm most excited for WandaVision just because of how weird it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
They're like really hyping that up to be a very different, very weird show.
Is it going to be kind of like Doctor Strange? Because that one was weird for me.
This is
They're going to tie in, actually.
Doctor Strange is going to be in WandaVision.
Specifically-
Okay,
Yeah.
Benedict Cumberbatch?
Yes.
Dang.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll have to watch it.
But like some of the, I don't know if these were leaks or like if, but people are saying that this is like Wanda Maximoff's her name, right?
Yep.
Scarlet. I always get Scarlet Witch and Black Widow
Always.
confused
Me
every
too.
time. I can never say them straight. So like she's distraught after losing Vision, and she apparently like has this reality in her head, and it's almost like a 50s sitcom, and that's supposed to be like what the show's about.
It looks a little bit
Just very weird.
dark
And
from
I'm
the promo image we got.
I'm so excited for weird from
That
Marvel.
sounds awesome.
We haven't
though.
gotten that. We haven't gotten anything like that. Anything that experimental and just out there. So if they can
And
pull
again,
that off,
Disney can have fun and just play.
exactly.
Yeah. The other thing was they said when they were talking about Doctor Strange's sequel into the Multiverse of Madness, is that what?
That's as close as any of us are gonna get.
Okay. So we'll call it Doctor Strange 2 for ease. That is supposed to be a weird movie, and they said the closest thing to a horror movie that Marvel has done
yeah.
yet. I don't know really what that
Oh.
means per se.
And they also confirmed that WandaVision is a direct prequel to that movie. So the ending of WandaVision was going to be the beginning of that new Doctor Strange movie.
Well then.
Yeah. And the one thing we're missing on here is the What If series. We're talking about how weird Marvel can get.
Oh, I
What
can't
If
believe it, yeah.
is going to be awesome too. Animated What If series. They can do anything they want with it.
So talk about the premise of that a little bit, John.
Yeah.
So what if
I'm
All
not too
if-
familiar with the comics. I know it's a long run. People love it. I'm not a big comic guy specifically. But so from what I understand, it's basically these one-off stories that are just like, what if?
I believe it's based on past MCU events. Like, what
Yeah.
if certain things had gone awry or gone the opposite way.
Yeah, so the one of them that they talked about is what if Peggy is the one who gets the super soldier injection instead of Steve Rogers?
Yes.
That's one of the specific examples. There's a couple of
There's one with Thanos as well, I want to say. There's basically
a bunch.
Every person or every actor or actress that was in the MCU that is also going to be in this animated series is reprising the role with their voice.
Besides Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, and then one more. They're not coming back for this show.
Gotcha.
Everybody else is.
So there's lots to like there on that front. As you can see too, this everything that we see coming is kind of spread out a bit. So another strategy to keep that subscription alive.
So you might as well buy the 3-year subscription because
That's why
you're going to be hanging around.
2 or 3 years until these things come out.
True.
Brilliance. Way to go, Disney.
they know what they're doing, no doubt about it. Again, if you're just joining us via live stream, thank you very much. Get involved in the chat. Tell us what you are most excited for when it comes to Disney Plus. We're going down kind of the Disney Plus 101, everything about the series, what it is, what you can expect from it. If you missed anything in the live stream so far, we are going to be posting this on YouTube and on iTunes and SoundCloud. So that being said, we'll move into kind of the latter portion of this first episode here. We're going to, between the three of us, roundtable our staff picks. What to watch at launch. We know in terms of new content, it's kind of The Mandalorian. But in terms of old Disney content, I don't know if you guys had a chance to look at this list at all, and I don't know if I can pull it up. Probably not. But what would you recommend people start with? For me, Boy Meets World's going to be on there. You can get it on Hulu now. I love Boy Meets World. That's one of my favorite series ever. Also, a little bit underloved Disney movie, I think, Emperor's New Groove. That'll be on there.
Cool.
It is one of the best. That and a Goofy movie. 2 underrated.
Oh my God,
Oh,
a Goofy
yeah.
movie. That's like a day one watch for me.
Watched
Goofy movie.
a Goofy movie so much
Me
back
too.
in the day.
That song was just like the
It's
soundtrack
so
to
good.
my childhood. Absolutely.
Oh, no, there's going to be a copyright strike because
No,
Amanda was
there's-
singing. I'm just
sorry.
kidding.
I didn't finish the sentence.
totally
Oh,
kidding.
no, we lost our 35 cents.
I'm to-
Oh, no.
AdSense.
You owe me. So, we'll look at this list. We're going to post a link in the description for this. It's going to blow your mind.
Yeah, I'm going to give a huge shout out to just all the old Disney Channel original movies.
Yes.
I can't wait to watch Brink, Smart House, Luck of the Irish.
Yeah.
Like,
You
I'm
say
all
luck
in.
of the Irish. Luck of the Irish.
I'm so in. I'm very excited for that stuff. Like, that is like legitimately going to be some day one like background stuff for me. I'm going to throw on Disney Plus, throw on those old movies, and just be very happy about it.
Yeah, and like for me, like I'm a Disney fanatic, so I own all of the cartoons. I own a vast majority of the live action ones. So it's kind of like, well, why are we getting this? And the Disney Channel original movies, huge. I don't know if things like The Weekenders and Recess, like all of those like Saturday morning cartoons, Bonkers. We heard about Bonkers coming
We were
back.
threatened that we
Thank
had to
you
mention
for
that.
Yes,
mentioning
we
that, 'cause
have
I
to mention
legitimately forgot.
Bonkers.
Yeah, I would have been worried to walk to my car.
Gargoyles, all of those old, like
Yeah.
really, really nostalgic shows where you really can't find them anywhere. Maybe you can find like complete, DVD collections, but other than that, you really can't find them anywhere. It's gonna be those kind of like B-side
Yes.
things that like, I haven't thought of those for so long, but now that they're available, I'm gonna watch
Just
these
going to be
things.
scrolling through like,
And
heck
be
yeah.
like, I recognize that title. I recognize that one.
Yep.
So I'm just excited to kind of like dig deeper and see what I've forgotten from my childhood in Disney.
And even taking it a step further, maybe stuff that you had always heard about or maybe never got a chance to watch.
There's a lot of that for me. If we put a list of all like the original classic Disney movies and I started checking
Especially
stuff,
like the crazy live action ones.
even stuff that like you would be insulted I haven't seen, I could probably make you walk out of this room.
Easily. You
Yes.
easily could.
So I have a lot of catching up to. There's a lot of old Disney stuff that like, sure it was probably on when I was a kid, but I don't consider myself to have seen it a lot.
John and I have kind of realized over the past few months we have very similar tastes in a lot of pop culture stuff. We're like gaming specifically.
Yeah.
Like we like all the same stuff. It's crazy. Obviously, some differences of Star Wars that we'll get into later. But same thing. Like there's probably an impressive list that you'd be surprised and possibly offended that I haven't seen. But I don't know.
I've seen them all.
Especially with Amanda here.
I know.
Was
I'm
it
like
yours?
leading this.
You're like leaning
He's
further
scooching away.
Oh,
I'm
we
not,
gotta
I'm
look
not
out.
that scary.
We also got to look out for Nate like jumping us in the parking lot. Did you talk about Bonkers?
We did.
We did. So, most anticipated Star Wars series. whoever wants to go first. Of the 4 that we know that are coming, including Mandalorian, which one is the one, if you could have it all right now, that you want to watch? Amanda, why don't you go first?
Okay. Well, I know I can't have Obi-Wan Kenobi right away. So,
Well, what if you could?
if I could, I would, but I can't. So,
Can't, so I
for
shan't.
me, Clone Wars. Asajj and Ahsoka, like there are some like awesome female characters in the Clone Wars that if you haven't seen it, you have no idea who the heck they are. And so I'm so excited that these characters and this storyline is finally getting the ending that it so deserves. So I'm very, very much looking forward to the final season of Clone Wars and the Obi-Wan Kenobi movie.
Did you ever read the Ahsoka novel?
I have not. I
ever wanna
haven't read
borrow
in
it?
so long. Oh, I will. Because
It's really good.
she's one of those characters. I'm still holding out hope for like an Ahsoka movie or an
Yeah.
Ahsoka TV show.
Maybe live action now with what we're getting here. But whatever.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed because I do think she is such a cool character. And Ashley Eckstein, who does the voice of her, she's still so active
Oh, yeah.
in the geek community.
She's an Uber fan.
Yeah, so I think she's doing a great job at keeping Ahsoka on people's radar and even bringing her back into the spotlight. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed for more of Ahsoka, but I'll take the final season of Clone Wars for now.
Ashley Eckstein, did you know that she's actually married to David Eckstein?
The baseball player?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's crazy.
I didn't know that until recently.
That's a deep cut.
yeah.
He's a
Her
World Series
dad
MVP.
also invented the turkey leg that they serve at the Magic Kingdom.
Wow.
Oh,
Fun fact.
Going down the X-Scene rabbit
this
hole. right there.
family is elite. Like,
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yes.
No underperformers there. So with Ahsoka too, it's funny. Like, as the time goes on, a lot of kids who are introduced to Star Wars, she's the most recognizable character, and it's funny to think of. Like, I wouldn't
Yeah.
think of that because I grew up pretty much with the prequels, but just around the time the original trilogy was circling around to the special editions. So all those main characters, Luke, Leia, Han, those were my guys. Ahsoka is not someone you think of, but a lot of kids. So we're talking under the age of 10, really. That's who they think of when they think of Star Wars. Kind of cool.
Yeah.
All right, so Amanda's got Kenobi. Or Clone Wars.
Yeah, I think
Slash Kenobi.
I'm gonna steal and go Kenobi as well. Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan is just like my favorite. I think it's like pound for pound my favorite actor-character pairing in Star Wars. So I'm so excited for that. I can't wait to see more of it.
Did you want to? So when they were casting Ewan McGregor, I'm full of useless Star Wars facts. They were describing like basically an upside down triangle in the middle of the face, and they said, if you find two people who have like that similar section where it's almost interchangeable, so basically majority of that fits in the nose, then they look like their family, which is how they arrived partially at Ewan McGregor looking like Alec Guinness.
Oh,
Really?
interesting.
Weird, right?
That's a cool
Like-
casting tidbit, though.
Hey.
But that was a little bit of the science behind it, aside from Ewan's wonderful acting.
And
Was-
beautiful hair.
That beautiful hair,
he is beautiful.
silky smooth.
So good.
Yeah, he's
majestic.
Besides some of those from episode 1 where you can clearly tell they were reshoots and he had to come back and was wearing a wig, that was bad.
yeah, interesting stuff. But okay, so Kenobi for you. I think it's Kenobi for me.
It's gotta be.
It's just so exciting that we're getting this character and this actor back. If just for being different, I'm really into the idea of Rogue One, the prequel series, just because I think there's some fun adventures to be had from an action standpoint with those two characters, but also some of the shenanigans that I think they might get into as well. Because again, K2 to me is a funny character, and I think whether maybe they go out to like a cantina style bar after getting into a skirmish, I feel like there's so much playground here for them to go with, and it can kind of show some of the inner workings of the Rebel Alliance as well. So that's, I think for me, I would list that as my number one here.
Cool.
We'll wrap up here with one more most anticipated Marvel series. We don't know a ton about any of them.
Yeah.
You said WandaVision?
I think so. I think that's like they said they're going to get weird with it, and they haven't done that in the MCU yet. Like obviously these are blockbuster movies; they can't really afford to go weird with it. So they've got a playground here. I'm really excited to see what they can do with something that's just a little different.
Amanda, what do you think?
I mean, I'm a woman, so I love Loki. So I am very much looking forward.
We should
to
put that on a shirt.
Oh,
Where
you
is
should
it?
put that
Oh,
on a
goodness.
shirt.
I don't know if you can see it on the camera or not.
Oh, you can. It's right over John.
Let's see. Oh, there we go. Yep. Okay,
There
so
it
right
is.
over John's head if you're watching the I Love Loki shirt.
I love Loki, so I am
what
very much
normally?
looking forward to the Loki series. However, hearing about the WandaVision,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like that just sounds so
It's up your
interesting
alley.
and kind of like twisted, kind of like Stepford Wives-ish. And I kind of like horror stuff, so I mean, and like kind of like that stuff that makes you kind of uncomfortable, but in a good way.
It looks like
Oh,
a
yeah.
dark comedy.
Yeah, and I'm here for it. I like it.
Yeah. Fun fact, the I Love Loki shirt is our fastest shirt to sell out of its first batch. So
It's a
we
good
just
looking
reordered.
shirt.
Get your hands on it now, folks. For me, like Tom Hiddleston was born to play Loki. I love the thought of that series. I did mention that I was pretty excited about Miss Marvel. I think I do have to actually stick with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, though.
Yeah?
Just with the buddy cop dynamic. If you know kind of my taste and Jeff Pavlov's taste when it comes to comedy, we love those buddy cop movies, even if they're dumb and one-off. Like, I just went and saw Hobbs and Shaw, and that was fun. I like a fun movie like that from time to time. You know, kick back, relax. Don't have to think about anything. Just enjoy it. I'm not saying that's what this is going to be, but I think the dynamic between those two is going to be really nice. And in the wake of what happened with Endgame, I'd like to see that kind of post Endgame life. So that's going to be it for me.
Cool.
Any kind of final thoughts here? We're actually like perfect on time. This is incredible, and I feel like we really got everything in. Doesn't happen often at the Geekiverse. Any wrapping up final thoughts on Disney Plus here on the premiere episode of PlusCast?
Just excited to see a lot of stuff that I've missed. We've talked about Rebels and a couple of those, not a couple of, most of those old school Disney movies that I don't have any touchstone to. So I'm excited to kind of catch up on stuff that I know I should have seen.
Amanda.
For me, I'm just excited to kind of see a new aspect of Disney. You know, we were kind of talking about how, you know, Disney might try to up the games with quality TV shows and quality content. And interesting fun fact, you know, when Walt Disney himself would be designing something or looking at a ride or an attraction, he'd be like, well, that's great, but how can we plus it? That was always his thing. You always want to plus it. So I think it's very interesting that they're calling this Disney Plus. I think it was intentional, and it's almost a direct quote from Walt Disney himself.
That's awesome.
And he was an innovator. He was always looking ahead and thinking ahead. So the fact that Disney is hopping in on the streaming services and kind of adding their own original content, I think is very, very smart, and they are plussing it.
I love it. So you learn something new every day, folks.
You're welcome.
That's a good way to put a bow on this episode too. That's great.
It really is.
Plussing it.
As much random stuff about Star Wars, I know Amanda knows about Disney, if not more. So there you go. This is going to be the makings of a beautiful show, I think.
I think so too. I'm excited.
Excited.
I can't wait to
It'll be
start
fun.
diving in.
Yeah, I can't wait. So November 12th, get your hands on Disney Plus. We'll wrap things up. Where can we find everyone on social media so we can talk about Star Wars specifically? And maybe what can you plug that's going on in your own life or for the Geekiverse?
I'm at Disruptoid on everything. Twitter, Instagram, Twitch. I've been doing a lot of Twitch streaming, so I'm hanging out, playing a couple different games on there. So if you want
What
to
you been
follow
playing
me,
recently?
The Outer Worlds, new Xbox Game Pass game. It's on everything, but get it on Game Pass. Having fun with it. Twitch.tv/Disruptoid, at Disruptoid, everywhere else.
Awesome. Now, Amanda, you've got a lot going on, not necessarily Geekiverse related, but just in general. So books, side projects, primary projects. Give us a little of everything.
Well, I am on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook independently of the Geekiverse at Spook Eats. So it's all about spooky haunted places, particularly bars and restaurants, because I like to eat and drink. Shock. So yeah, working on a book right now. Got a website going. So that's where you can find me.
Any ETA to tease on the book just yet?
It's November 30th. And
Oh.
I am panicking inside. I'm like a duck. I'm calm on the surface, but underneath I'm going like this.
Well, very exciting times.
Yes.
It's crazy the amount of authors releasing books we have within the Geekiverse. It's really quite awesome to see.
Very cool.
It's a creative bunch.
Yeah, it really is. We've got Jeff Pavlak doing a book signing soon. So we're at Dave and Adams. We'll be here for a few more hours. Come say hi to us. Get a book from Jeff Pavlak. We've got Aaron O'Brien here from Synthaholics, which was a very popular Star Trek podcast. But he's done comics pretty awesome. So he's here. Pick one up, get a signature, get a picture with him. I'm at Josiah D. LeRoy on Twitter. When I'm not getting yelled at for Star Wars content, I'm usually complaining about the savers in some way, shape, or form, but not so much this season. So far, it's been mostly positive. So I'm enjoying myself there very much. And, of course, I'll be talking a lot about Disney, Star Wars in the coming months because we have Episode 9. And there's a lot of video games coming out. If you enjoy video games, I also host a podcast called Geeks Got Game. We're going to be talking about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order in the next episode because it's Star Wars season. Let's be real. All right. So for John, for Amanda, I'm Josiah. Thanks so much for tuning in to the premiere episode of PlusCast. We'll catch you guys next month.